Hello, Coolman229 here.
And Angelrin89
with another topic of the week. This week, we got an ask for both of us, actually, about the new Power Rangers movie.
And it's a long one.
Yeah, really, like, this is the entire topic. It wasn't even said as an ask, it was a submit that was that long.
There's a lot.
Alright. This was submitted by an Anon, and it goes off. I know from following both of you that you both have different experiences regarding the Power Rangers franchise. Angelrin89, I know you are someone who grew up with the series and loved it as a child, and Coolman229, I know you were someone who didn't grow up with the series. What are your honest thoughts about this new movie? How does it work as a movie in your opinion as both an old fan and in this case a newcomer? Do you think it does well enough catering to new audiences and old audiences? And so then it's going to go into like asking us each stuff, so we're gonna start off and you can answer that stuff. Then there'll be a one for me. Yeah, I had to split this up because it's so long.
It's very long.
Angelrin89, what do you think of some of the changes done in this reboot? Any good or bad, justified changes, something you as a fan would have done differently, changes you think are improved from the original?
Okay, so where do we want to start with this?
I guess you can answer some of the questions there and then that section for you.
Okay.
Honest.
As an old fan, I grew up with this ever since I was itty bitty. I even had, we had a Sega, and there was even an old Power Rangers game that I still remember we were playing on the Sega. Like, I remember that when I was 6 years old, I dressed up as the pink Power Ranger, so I loved them as a kid. It was like, and so whenever I heard there was going to be a reboot, I was excited for it. Even though the first trailer was terrible, I still had it in my heart, and I'm like, no, I want to believe that this will still be fun. Like, even if the movie turned out to be terrible, like, I had this feeling, this gut feeling, this movie, I was going to like it. And I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be so bad it's going to be good, or just, I'm like, I knew I was going to enjoy it. It's just, there's this gut feeling I had. And then, so then when the next trailer came out, which was much better and showed that there was going to be humor in it, and I was just like, see, I knew it wasn't going to be all like The Breakfast Club with angst and superpowers. Like, I knew I was right, and I was glad that I was vindicated in this. And it actually made some really interesting choices. I actually didn't mind some of the changes. Usually, I hate it whenever people would race bend things without rhyme or reason, but they did have a reason, and it almost plays homage to a lot of things. Like, Billy is now black instead of white. But what I found interesting about this, I thought, but there's another character who was the Blue Ranger who also rides a Triceratops Zord that happens to be black. People, if they remember Dino Thunder, I can't remember, I just forgot his name. Whatever, he was the Blue Ranger. What was his name? There was Connor. There was Kira.
Ethan?
Ethan, that's what it was. Ethan. So I thought that was a nice little reference to Ethan. Google's great. I didn't watch much Dino Thunder. I was a little too old for Power Rangers by that point, but I did catch a couple episodes. So, but anyway, so I thought that was like, I'm like, so that's almost like merging Billy with another character. So it was kind of cool in that way. And Zach was now Asian instead of black. And I kind of thought, like, even the actor that they picked, he almost kind of looked a little bit like Johnny Young Bosch in a way to me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's actually kind of funny. So it's like they merged Zach and Adam and they made him one character. So I thought that was kind of fitting. And they changed Trini. She's now Hispanic, which actually in the original pilot for Power Rangers, Trini was played by a completely different actress who was Hispanic. So it's more of a reference to their old pilot, which was cool. But I guess they kept her name Trini though, so a lot of people said her name could be short for Trinidad, probably. So then she could still keep the nickname of Trini. But she still has the last name of Kwan, and I don't remember the actor who played her dad, but I think it's supposed to be her father, who's probably still like part Vietnamese or something like that. At least in the movie's continuity's sake, because of, you can't keep the last name Kwan and say no, but they're Hispanic.
She's a Kwan, but she's also Hispanic.
I don't know, but so I guess she's probably biracial then in that case, which is cool. Like, but it wasn't like, here, we're just gonna throw diversity at you because we want to look like we're progressive. Like, no, they actually developed these characters and made them characters, and while they're not the exact same, they're not goody goods, it's a very modern day Power Rangers, but it still was a very fun action movie. And So I could see how people who didn't like Power Rangers could probably get into it. Like, I was like watching on the internet, and the Cinema Snob and Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, they were not Power Rangers fans, and they were even like I actually kind of like this movie. And so I was like, it did its job. Because of Linkara, who's a big Power Rangers fan, liked it, and they liked it. So I thought, I'm like, okay, that's good. This movie's doing its job. I don't know if there's any changes I would have done that much differently. I guess, I mean, I can understand the nitpick of, well, Goldar doesn't talk, he's just Goldar in name only. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. It would have been nice if Rita had some of her henchmen, like if she resurrected them and they were monsters, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, like, there's so much done in this movie, like, what other room could they have had? I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see, I can understand the complaints because of Goldar was a favorite, and there's, like, other characters, like, people were like, well, where's Finster? Where's Squat and Babu? And people were like, where's Bulk and Skull? And at the same time, I'm like, Bulk and Skull really wouldn't have a place in this movie. Sure, it would have been funny if there was two bullies that were pestering Billy, and like instead that scene with that one bully that was pestering Billy, and then instead it was Jason just slaps the both of them, and then suddenly you just like that was the one scene, and then that was about it. Like, sure, that would have been funny, but I mean, hey, they could always bring him in the next movie and just make them ineffectual bullies turned heroes or something like that. Like, who knows? They're planning on doing a couple more movies from the sounds of it, so there's plenty of time to bring in Bulk and Skull, everyone's fan favorite. Changes that I think are improved? Well, for one thing, they really fleshed out these characters. Like, they really developed Jason into a hero. I actually really like that. Oh, spoilers, by the way. I really, really like that Rita was the original Green Ranger.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, people were always wondering where the heck did she get the green power coin back in Mighty Morphin. And so then now this movie, gives you an explanation for why she had it, at least in this universe. It's because she was the original Green Ranger. So then it like opens up opportunities for Tommy to come in. And I actually really loved Billy's character. Like, I've always loved Billy. But this movie really made me love Billy. He was the heart of the team. Like, everyone loves Billy. The whole team loves Billy. It's the reason where they stop kind of all being punks, because of Billy dies, but of course he gets resurrected by the power of friendship and all that good stuff. But it's like, but that's what brought them all together because of Billy. They all love Billy. Even Zordon, like, gave up like having his physical form just so Billy could come back. And I'm just like, even Zordon loves Billy. Oh, that's the other change I love. Bryan Cranston, of course, was really good at that whole, like, the moving wall thing was kind of cool. Alpha was really funny. Like, instead of just like, ay, like with that high-pitched voice and being useless, like, he was actually helping train the Rangers, and he was, like, so excited when he saw it. He's just like, 5 of them. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's only 4. Where's the 5th? And then he sees Zach, and then he's, like, just grabbing Zach, and then he's, like, dragging, even though they're, like, way bigger. Like, it made me laugh. I'm like, oh my goodness, here's, like, Alpha, but better. Sure, I kind of think the frog robot face is a little weird. I kind of missed, like, because Alpha's design was iconic, but I'm like, but that's just a minor thing. I thought it was fun, though. The movie was fun. I love that we actually got to see the Zords fight a little bit more. I was short of the time as it is, like, because then eventually they become the Megazord again. But I was like, it's nice because of the Zords were, while they sometimes occasionally did things, really it was mostly the T-Rex that did anything. The Zords were kind of useless. Like, really, they're just there just to form the Megazord, and then finally they fight. And so it was nice to see the Zords actually try to stop it. And I also loved how the kids didn't know how to form the Megazord. I even turned to him and I was like, wait a second, they never told them about how to form the Megazord. And I'm like, they're going to form it by accident, aren't they? And then sure enough, whenever they get thrown into that pit and they're like, Zords are being crushed against each other and it's like getting really hot and the kids are just like, oh no, and then they're like thrown in 300 style and then suddenly, here comes the Megazord, and it comes like all booming out, and I'm just like, nice. I should say, it does the origin story nice.
Yeah.
Like, and it really delves into these characters, and they felt like teenagers, I guess I should say. Where it's obvious there's Dawson casting in this movie just as much as there was in the old series. At least they feel like actual teenagers and not as much as I love the Mighty Morphin idealized goody-goods who have all the time in the world to do way too many extracurricular activities on top of being superheroes. It's like, but I liked them. They were all sympathetic. They felt like teenagers, and Oh my gosh, and Zach and his mom made me cry.
Oh gosh.
And it was so just like, oh, so heartwarming. But anyways, on to yours.
Alright, so this section asked to me is, Newcomer89, as an outsider to the franchise, did this movie successfully pull you in and make you interested in the source material? Did the movie do enough to make, for you as an outsider, not to make you feel like you're being left out, and was it simply catering to fans? The upside, did you at all feel like it was more catering to you and not the original fans of old? So I'm going to be perfectly honest, I actually really like this movie. I mean, I never grew up with Power Rangers. When I was like 6 or something, I saw Power Rangers on the TV, and I was sitting there as a little 6-year-old, and I was like, this is dumb.
I wasn't a smart 6-year-old.
And then I turned it off, and I was just like, and I know I watched all other cartoons and stuff. So I went years without knowing next to anything about the Power Rangers. The only time I knew anything was when she started explaining stuff to me, and more so when the movie came out, or it's like when she would try to explain a joke to me, be like, oh yeah, here's a joke, but this was from...
Well, yeah, because of Jason's father specifically said, he was calling, I think it was, I don't know.
Mariner Bay.
Well, he made 2 references. He was saying on the phone what streets he was at, and the names of the 2 streets of the intersection he at, he said was Mariner Bay Road or something like that, and Reefside Street or something like that. And I was like, Reefside, that's a reference to Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Mariner Bay, that's a reference to Lightspeed Rescue, which I didn't even watch those seasons, but I still kind of kept a little bit up because I was interested, because I'm like, how is Power Rangers still going on to this day? What is it that keeps pulling kids back in? So I just I casually whispered that to him, and he's just like, well, that just flew way over my head.
Yeah, there was none of the references, because I mean, I've looked into a little bit more, but when I went going into this movie, I knew next to nothing about the series. So all these references, she'd be like, because we saw the movie together in theaters, she'd be like, that's a reference to Lightspeed Rescue, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a reference to RPM or whatever like that. And it's like, and I'm just sitting there like, okay.
I was excited. I was like, oh, cool, nice reference there.
Yeah, so, but none of that felt like in any way like it impeded my enjoyment of the movie, because going in here almost totally blind to the franchise, I enjoyed it. Anything that you needed to know is explained in the movie. And, then there's some stuff that, like...
The rest of the stuff is just candy for any of the Power Rangers
Right,
fans.
yeah. And even stuff like the Megazord, even though I don't think they even mention the Megazord until it shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, who doesn't know about the Megazord? It's like, everyone... It's like literally one of the most iconic aspects of the series. Everyone knows that the robots come together.
On my shirt.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't feel like it specifically catered to new or old audiences. I felt like it was just making a Power Rangers movie. It explained...
One for teenagers,
yeah.
Funnily enough. Instead of kids, this is Power Rangers for teenagers.
Yeah, they did make things a little more serious and more adult. I think legitimately adult, not like,
Not gritty.
Yeah, but...
like the first trailer made you think...
Yeah, I thought it was going to be gritty from that first trailer, but no, yeah, the movie is not. There's a lot of jokes in it. But yeah.
The nuns.
Oh, gosh.
The nun scene was the best. There's 2 things you need to remember if you've never seen this movie. And you just got spoiled to the whole Rita being a Green Ranger thing, that I'm sorry, there's more spoilers. Stop after, but I say this, because there's 2 iconic scenes I want you to remember. First is jewelry store, nuns. Just then, watch the movie, just remember that. And then stop watching this after that, because there'll be more spoilers. Anyways, go.
Yeah, I think this movie strikes. It's one of the few times that I've seen an adaptation of an old property that does a good job of bringing in new audiences, because this did in fact get me interested. I mean, I'm not going to go back and rewatch stuff, but I did.
He was saying he was considering watching RPM though.
I was because RPM looks like an excellently written series.
It's on Netflix.
But I did watch all of Linkara's History of Power Rangers, except for the new one that literally just came out. But I went and watched all of them, and now I have at least a pretty solid understanding of the franchise. But yeah, I mean, I got interested in it. I mean, so yeah, that's a good job, because I'd always thought the series was dumb. So this actually...
I mean, it is, but it's fun.
Well, yeah, but...
but it's fun.
Yeah, so yeah, this movie did get me interested in it, because it had enough to draw you in as a new audience member, but it also had enough references that old fans would understand. Like, obviously, seeing Rita as the Green Ranger, that's just something new to me, but then she explained to me later that oh, when Tommy comes in, he's the Green Ranger. So this explains why he can, like she mentioned, how did Rita have the power coin? Oh, well, she was the Green Ranger. This is how Tommy's going to get it, because the ending of the movie does imply that Tommy is going to come in.
Oh, it doesn't, okay, another spoiler. It doesn't imply, it outright has...
Yeah, it calls out Tommy Oliver.
Literally in detention, when all the kids are in detention and the teacher's trying to call it, and he's like, Tommy Oliver! Is Tommy Oliver present? And then the camera cuts to a chair with
like a green sports jacket or something?
A green jacket, and one person noted, like, the print on the green jacket, even though it was faded, it looks like a silhouette of Rita Repulsa from the original Power Rangers on the shirt. Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, that's really funny.
Yeah, so, and I did really, I mean, you know, even without knowing stuff, but also knowing what, you know, the whole, the Green with Evil, you know, storyline for Mighty Morphin, it actually is really interesting seeing Rita as the former Green Ranger. Oh,
yeah, and another change I liked was that Zordon was the original Red Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Like, and it would make sense why he would then mentor the next team, like in the old show.
Because he was the leader.
I mean, granted, I'm not saying that's how it was in the actual original Power Rangers continuity, but it's a fun, like, what if, basically.
It adds more to Zordon's character, who, I mean, admittedly, in the old show, he was like...
he was just a floating talking head in a tube.
Who was like the source of all goodness. It was cheesy.
It's Power Rangers, what can you say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think of another change that I actually really did like that I forgot to mention. One of the ones that I really, really loved was how the kids are like taking time. I know, I understand, because some people were like, it's a movie called Power Rangers, why aren't they all being Power Rangers? And I'm like, but it's an origin movie. It's about them developing into, like, and so it really took its time developing these characters, so you really got to know them.
And that's one of the reasons why I really think this works for new audiences, because old audiences, I mean, you could come in, you could start off the movie with them being Power Rangers, and you'd be totally cool with that.
I mean, I would be, but I would also, at the same time, want to get to know the new Kimberly, the new Jason, the new Zach, the new Trini, the new Billy.
This isn't the old characters, and having us get attached to these characters and actually see them trying and working towards being Power Rangers to basically unlocking the suits.
Developing them into a team. And what was funny enough, like, it even made me kind of think of the new Voltron cartoon.
Oh,
like, it was really trying to, like, these people that normally wouldn't be a team and was struggling to develop them as a team. Heck, there was even a part where one of the characters was all excited, like, about being a leg. And I'm like, was that a Voltron reference? Like,
I'm a leg! Was Hunk screaming that, but yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that, and I do think it takes that aspect, that direction of developing them as characters, so that when they do come together as a team, when they do work together, when they do gain the suits and their full powers, when they form the Megazord, you feel like all that is earned because you've had an hour or so build up to that.
It's almost like, it reminds me of some other, I can't remember a lot of Power Rangers teams that they never knew each other before. I know there's quite a few of them where it's like that. People who never knew each other before and suddenly develop as a team or whatever. But the instances that I can think of the most that immediately come to mind would be SPD and, I mean, granted, a couple of them already were a team, but then Z and the other guy who became a Red Ranger, I forgot his name all of a sudden. I didn't watch SPD. Like, they had to then become a team because those two were criminals and they had to learn to work together, even though the other three never worked well as a team. But the other one was also Dino Thunder, because the three were never really friends, and then they had to develop well. Because in Mighty Morphin, they were already friends, these five group of kids. But whereas in this movie, they all didn't really know each other that well. I mean, they knew of each other, like, because Jason was the jock, Kimberly was the pretty girl and stuff like that. So they all knew of each other, like, or at least Billy, like, was aware of some of these people. But, like, none of them even knew who Trini was, and because she was always the new kid everywhere she went. And so it was, like, more of them coming together and becoming a team. So I thought that was an interesting aspect, because I'm used to them always being friends. So seeing them become friends in a team, I actually really liked that.
Yeah, and that also served as a great tool to allowing new audiences to get to know these characters, because we start off with Jason, then they introduce Billy and Kimberly, then they introduce Zach, and then introduce Trini, so that they kind of steadily, like, build up, okay, these are the new Rangers, and then once they all end up coming together, you're like, okay, these are your new characters. So it did feel like, I felt like very comfortable as they were introducing these characters, because it really felt like it was handled in a very careful way. Like they weren't just gonna, all right, here's 5 new characters of the Power Rangers, let's go. It's like, no.
It took its time.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, even though this movie is a lot more tongue-in-cheek, of Godzilla 2014, where it really took its time for you to like build you up to the monster fights, because that's the big payoff. That's the big important moment. Kind of like Jaws, where it's building the suspension. Where for us, it's to see them as the Rangers, it's to see them in the Zords, it's to see them in the Megazord. So it's all building. But rather than, instead of like, because those are building up monsters, so you have to build up intensity. Whereas this one, instead, because of it's all about teamwork and it's these guys becoming a team, they have to build the characters till they become the Power Rangers. They don't start off as the Power Rangers like in the old show, because of it's like they're not heroes yet, so they had to build them to become the heroes. And I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. And the next part of this was, for both of you, what are your favorite parts of the movie? For both of you, what are your least favorite parts of the movie?
I can't really think of a part that's least favorite. Anything that's least favorite would really be a nitpick. It's just the fact that Goldar is Goldar in name only. But even then, at the same time, I didn't hate it. I was just like, eh. I kind of miss Goldar talking, but at the same time, I'm like, eh. That's just, eh. I mean, it's not like it hurt the movie. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, sure, Goldar was just basically Rita's Zord, but big deal. I love that Rita, also that's another change I forgot to mention that I love that they improved. Rita is, first off, she's still just as hilarious as she is in the show, but she's actually scary.
Yeah.
Like, she is legit scary in this movie. And like, but she's still hammy, like very hammy.
But she's not just going, I'm going to send my monsters after you!
Like,
Power Rangers!
Like, yeah, she's funny, but at the same time, she was like freaky, like Gollum almost.
You would literally, you were scared of her. She was like when there were some
she
parts.
Was a serial killer, basically.
Yeah, there were some parts of the movie that felt like straight out of a horror movie.
Like, she was scary. I was just like, I'm actually scared of a character named Rita Repulsa.
Yeah.
Like, what? But yeah, that's one of the changes I loved. And I thought that's something that they handled really well. Because I remember some people looking at Elizabeth Banks' design, and I'm like, people are like, she looks nothing like Rita. And I'm like, but you know what? I'm cool with that.
She makes it work.
She makes it work really well.
Yeah.
She was frightening sometimes.
She's definitely an underrated actress, because you seeing her in different roles, it's like you don't see her like this much, but holy crap, she becomes Rita.
She went all out. She just like, I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to make it my own, and I'm just going to give it my all. And my gosh, did she give it her all.
Favorite parts?
Favorite parts. Oh my gosh. First off, this movie is really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I mentioned a scene with the nuns. There's this scene where it's like the scene that made me laugh so hard. Zach decides to go for a joyride on his Mastodon Zord. He's like, hijacks it, and he goes like running around, stampeding around, and then randomly it just cuts to this car full of nuns that are just singing, and Zach's like freaking out, slams the brakes because he's about to run over him, and he manages to slow down just enough so that their car, their little minivan, drives fast enough, and then suddenly it cuts back to them in the car singing, and then there's Zach just like just behind them, like, so you see in the backseat this giant thing, and they're just singing, not even noticing. We were like laughing so hard, and oh my gosh.
I heard that there were nuns in the movie, but I didn't expect it to be that funny.
It was hilarious. It was so goofy. And then there was the part where Jason just randomly slapped the boy, and the boy's like, did you just slap me? He's like, yeah, weird, right? And there was also I can't even think of them all. Of course, Alpha was hilarious when he sees the Rangers and he's like all excited, like almost fanboying. And he's just like, it's them! And he's like basically been waiting there for like since the age of the dinosaurs, 65 million years. And he's just like so excited because somebody found the power coins and they're here. So it's like, it must be them, it's the next Rangers. And he's just like, woohoo! And he's like geeking out. And he's just like, yeah, Power Rangers! And I'm just like, pretty much everyone in the audience, we are Alpha. But he's also like unintentionally beating them up because he's like grabbing them like with his like extending arms, and he's like pulling them around, and they're just like, there's...
Yeah, that made me think of that one part in the Linkara's History of Power Rangers, where I don't remember which one was it, but the Yellow Ranger, she goes over and she punches the guy who's going to be the Red Ranger. She's like, "You're a Power Ranger now."
Oh, that was Wild Force.
Wild Force, and then he's like, "Yeah." It's like, could you imagine if Mighty Morphin did that? And then it cuts to Zordon. And he's like, "Says all you will become Power Rangers."
And if you don't, and Alpha will kick your butt until you do. And then it's like, well.
Yeah, I was like, "Is that what happened in the new movie?"
And I'm just like, well, yeah, that kind of is. Linkara predicted the Power Rangers movie. Oh man, but there was a lot of really funny moments. And oh my gosh, we laughed so hard. That one has to be the most hilarious, over the top, shameless use of product placement I have ever seen in a movie. It had no shame, but you're like, you know what? Yeah, Krispy Kreme is advertising our movie. We're Power Rangers, so we're gonna do what we always do: be as over the top as possible with it. We gotta rescue the Krispy Kreme. We gotta go to the Krispy Kreme. Is this Krispy Kreme a magical place?
Yeah.
Literally, the MacGuffin of the movie, the Zeo Crystal, is buried under the Krispy Kreme. And then you have this random scene where Rita is just sitting there in the Krispy Kreme, just casually sitting there eating a donut, and then there's like her giant gold bar just destroying the Krispy Kreme around her. It just like, I mean, there were some people who were angry at it, and you're hearing this from, I hate product placement. It's one of my pet peeves in movies, like blatant product placement, like very blatant. Like some people complain about the product placement in Man of Steel, and I'm like, guys, Man of Steel has real problems, and the product placement was really not one of them. Really, it's just like, oh,
it's in a small town, and you see an IHOP,
or he accidentally crashes through a 7-Eleven. And I'm like, that's really not that blatant. I'm like, so
of all the issues in Man of Steel, that is like not even on my list.
It's really not. And I'm like, but this was, I'm talking movies like, that one Adam Sandler Hanukkah movie where it was like
shameless
product placement. Like it was whoring itself out to its product placement. Like stuff like that pisses me off when I see that in movies. And okay, yeah, this was basically being very blatant, but it was aware that it was being blatant, and it decided, you know what, let's be tongue-in-cheek about it and be over the top as possible, and let's basically, you know,
let's make the product placement plot relevant
and a joke. It was plot relevant and a joke.
And you see, and there are very few like series that I think that this kind of product placement can work in. Power Rangers is one of them. It's like, okay, we have Krispy Kreme. We're just going to go totally goofy and have everyone treat this Krispy Kreme is where the Zeo Crystal is, as a totally serious plot point.
Like the characters aren't even laughing at the fact that we have to go. Like we can't let her get to the Krispy Kreme. You were actually having a sentence like, the world will be doomed if Rita Repulsa gets to the Krispy Kreme. Are you not hearing yourself? And I'm like, but of course they're not. It's Power Rangers. I'm like, this is something I could exactly hear Jason say in the show.
And it's so campy. Like, yeah, and you know, and this kind of campiness is in Power Rangers. Power Rangers thrives off of campiness and dumb stuff.
It's lifeblood. It needs campiness, and that's why it didn't bother me. We were laughing so hard, like we just could not believe it. Like the characters kept just like, we gotta get to the Krispy Kreme. We gotta stop.
Anytime Krispy Kreme is mentioned, we were both laughing.
It was just the way they said it. It was so blatant.
It was like 100%. Full-on Academy going for the Oscar acting. Gotta get to the Krispy Kreme, and it's like, and you can't help but laugh at that.
It was so
and
ridiculous.
You're supposed to, and you know, and I think that's another reason why
the audience was laughing with us. Like we weren't the only ones dying. Everybody was dying. Everybody, even the little 13-year-olds that were sitting behind us were snickering. Like even they realized that this is where they're like, you know what? They're just we don't even care. Let's just be goofy as possible when we're talking about save the Krispy Kreme.
Well, I think one of the reasons that it works is a lot of product placement is you're not supposed to really notice product placement as much. It's not supposed to stick out to you because everything's supposed to be serious. And they're treating it as a joke. This in and of itself could be seen as a spoof.
Serious.
Yeah, this could be seen as a parody of product placement while also being product placement because they treat it as such an insane joke. And that's what makes it work.
And it was really funny. And that honestly, the humor in this movie was really funny. The action was pretty good too. Like whenever a lot of the training montage scenes were fun. Whenever they finally get into the suits, that was cool, and they fought like her putties. Heck, any scene Rita was in was really cool. Whenever she confronts them also on the docks was like whenever they had that fight, granted it was very one-sided because they couldn't morph yet, was pretty intense. Like, Rita was the original Green Ranger for a reason. Like, she kicks butt. And when they're in the Zord, that was cool. I mean, if I had any complaints, really, it's that the CGI is not as good as in movies like Transformers or Godzilla and some of the other more modern, like, big, giant thing movies that you see nowadays. It wasn't as good. I mean, the Zords actually didn't look too bad, really. It was mostly Goldar that kind of was a little bit uncanny valley for me. But it's minor, because he's only in the movie for at the very end.
Yeah, when she summons Goldar.
So it's not really a big deal to me. I mean, the movie was so fun, and to be fair, since when has Power Rangers ever had good special effects?
Yeah, let's go back to Mighty Morphin and let's look at those special
I mean, not even that. Let's go back to the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. The movie. Remember that awful CGI? That was the Megazord? Like, that was pretty bad CGI. Like, we got it good here in 2017.
And if the complaint is it's not as good as some of the best looking CGI in Hollywood, I think we can live with that.
I mean, it's fine. For what it is, it's perfectly fine. And it was fun. And
it wasn't like constant CGI in your face throughout the entire movie.
No. In fact, most of the movie is the kids out of the suit, for crying out loud. So it's not like it's a CGI fest.
Right. And I'm sure that the sequel will have a bigger budget and have better CGI. So yeah, that'll definitely improve. And
so I would say yes, this is diversity done right. Actually, because of...
I want to talk about my favorite parts.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, before we get into that. Yeah, honestly, I can't really think of any spot that was my least favorite. I mean, really, I think maybe like Rita's scenes might have been a little creepy, but they weren't really that long anyway. Like, I think the darkest it got was when she killed some fishermen and a police officer. But they don't show anything, and like
it does like the cutaway, it would in
it's
a thriller.
The gory discretion shot. So yeah, it doesn't really show itself. I kind of felt like it was a little unnecessary because she establishes that she's a threat anyway. But I don't particularly mind it, and I really have a hard time thinking of scenes in this
it does make you feel really scared for the Rangers because they're a bunch of kids and they're still learning. So when she has them all tied up at the docks and she's like being in their face, like she was with some of those people, like the fishermen, and you know that she's got teeth all along her thing. Yeah. So when she's getting in their face, you're really scared for these kids because you're just like, oh my gosh, like, because you know she could kill any one of them, and she does. She killed Billy. Yes. Like, so. Killed him. Well, yeah, and he comes back, the power of friendship and goodness and whatever, it's Power Rangers. But still.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the movie, and I really can't think of it. All I have are a bunch of scenes that I really like, and there are some scenes, like some parts of this movie, I loved. Like, one of my favorite scenes has to be when, it's actually a scene that was advertised, when Rita confronts Trini, and she basically beats Trini up in her room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
that scene.
And she basically says, turn the Rangers over to me, and I'll, spare your family or something like that.
Well, yeah, and she's basically like, join me and stuff like that. And normally in a superhero movie, what does the hero do?
They betray their friends.
They'll either betray their friends or they won't betray their friends, but they'll keep it to themselves. They'll keep it a secret that this villain came to them. And then the villain will turn this around and like basically...
your friend lied to you.
And then of course make the friends, mope and dope and they don't trust their friend.
And that was what I was worried that was going to happen. But what happened?
The next scene.
Literally.
Exactly the next
Trini
scene.
calls the Power Rangers and tells them exactly what's going on.
Everything.
Rita came to
And this is what she told me. Like, she was 100% honest.
Yeah, she's like, all right, Rita came to me, she beat me up, she threatened me into joining her, and I'm telling you this because she wants to set a trap for you there. And then that leads into the scene at the docks. And while they still, end up losing that fight, they knew what was going on because Trini didn't hide this from them. Because she made the logical decision that this villain isn't going to keep up her side of the deal. She's going to kill me.
She's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, why should I hold this from people? So she calls an emergency Power Rangers
Like, breaks
meeting.
one of the biggest Hollywood tropes you see in a lot of, and even comic book tropes. And I'm just like, logic in a Power Rangers movie?
Yeah, it's like, that's one of my most hated tropes, period, because it never makes any sense. And Power Rangers, of all movies, is the one that breaks this vicious cycle.
Good guy Power Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, also I love everything about, like what she said about the Krispy Kreme, because the product placement just works in this.
Oh, and the campfire scene was really
Oh
good.
yeah, like that was I love it when they take they take their time to be quiet. And this is in and of itself a trope. The loud action quiet scene or something like that. Quiet drama, yeah. Where you have all this like big stuff. They're training. There's like music going on.
Music montage. Fighting over a Krispy Kreme donut, of course.
Yeah, and then it cuts and it shows them in a campfire. They're all just sitting there, just chilling out, and they just start talking to each other.
Because they decide, well, we're obviously struggling becoming a team. So maybe it's because we don't know each other very well. So they all start sitting around telling stuff about each other.
Yeah, and
oh gosh, and when Zach starts talking about his mother,
Zach's like explanation was the highlight of that scene.
I legit wanted to cry. And Trini was a very lost soul because of it's like everywhere she went. And you can understand why, because while it was a joke that her mom is kind of
crazy.
Like crazy mom, like one of those crazy moms, like that doesn't trust anything that her teenager says.
Seriously, she was acting a little like
she was being sarcastic. She was being like even though what she was saying was the truth, but Trini knew no one would believe what I said. Like my friends and I found a spaceship. We're now superheroes. Like everyone would think that normally logic would dictate, oh, you're being sarcastic. Where were you really last night? Were you guys out drinking or something? Like why aren't you being honest?
And then she literally goes, pee in this cup.
Like
and it's like, geez, you want to test if she's pregnant?
Like she's like she's thinking like her daughter's like
going out
crazy and on PCP or something. I'm like, no, she was saying it in a legit sarcastic tone. Like the mother so you can understand with an overbearing mother and the fact that she's like hinted at moving around a lot. That Trini felt very lost in that movie, and that's probably why Rita preyed on her, because she could sense that she was the one that probably felt she didn't belong the most. But what was great about Trini's character is, like as you mentioned in that scene, she just decided like, why would I turn my back on the only people that are finally starting to get to know my name?
Right, and that's that's why that scene really works, is that every one of them, like they establish reasons that all five of them have problems. Jason's been he's a misbehaving sports star who, while he's a decent guy, he made some selfish mistakes and got himself in trouble and ended up in detention. Got his leg injured where he couldn't play football.
And his dad's just disappointed in him.
Yeah. And
Billy,
they establish him as autistic,
and he gets bullied. But also, his father died when he was younger, and so all he's got is his mom.
So yeah, and so obviously he doesn't really deal much. This is why when Jason even sort of was nice to him, he latched on to him like a friend,
and it was so sweet. And this is one of the that's another thing about getting into later diversity done right. Like this is one of the few characters in a movie that does autism, and it actually feels like it's trying to be accurate.
Right, it's not like this makes him like a super hyper genius who can create time portals.
Like he's just socially awkward and he doesn't get some social cues, but he's also still a kid and is intelligent. You know this for a fact that Billy is intelligent.
But it doesn't shove it in your face, because when
it's not so ham-fisted.
When it's first discussed, when it first is revealed in the movie, it's when Jason is helping Billy at that the mining area?
Yeah, I think Jason makes a joke and Billy obviously doesn't get it, and then Billy says to him, I'm in the spectrum, and then Jason makes another joke, and then Billy's like, no, I mean like autism, and Jason's like, I know, I was trying to make a joke. He's like, that doesn't really work well with me.
Right, and it's like...
Because Billy's trying to explain like, no, I don't often understand like social cues. I don't understand social quirks, and even though Billy's trying to, but it's nice seeing now like... Especially like later on near the end of the movie, you could tell like Jason really becomes really protective of Billy. Like,
right, he really becomes like a big brother to him. Like because Jason, they established that even though he's kind of acts like a punk sometimes, he's got a protective thing. Like when he slaps that bully who makes fun of Billy, it's like he instantly jumps to his defense, which has really worked as he grows into the role of being a leader. He wants to lead and protect the Rangers. And it really makes sense as he kind of drops his douchey attitude that he comes up as a hero.
And another scene I loved, and it was actually going to segue into a scene I thought I would hate, but thankfully they cut this from the movie, was because of actually in the campfire scene, they all explain things except Kimberly. Kimberly doesn't want to go into it. So later, there's a moment where Kimberly and Jason are alone together in a bedroom. And in the trailer, you see them make out, and I'm just like, really? And I'm like, first off, they were never a thing in the show, and why would you randomly just shove in romance when it doesn't need to be there?
Because you also have 5 different backstories for a single origin story. There's no need to...
you don't need to shove romance in there too while you're at it. And I'm like, it's fine. They were all 5 friends. Why can't they all just be 5 friends? Like... And thankfully they cut that kiss scene, especially because of whenever you watch the scene where these two like have this heart to heart and Jason discovers what Kimberly is so ashamed of and why she like really hates herself because she did a really mean thing. And it was a really good scene of like showing Kimberly's guilt of this horrible thing that she did. And the thing was I guess her and this friend got into this argument of some sort. So basically what she did was she basically sent a girl's nudes to this girl's boyfriend or something like that. Basically, it was a huge breach of trust. Something awful. And Kimberly felt terrible for it.
She, this friend is being a dick to her and like...
And so she basically decided she's going to get revenge, except what Kimberly did was way out of line. Way worse than what the friend originally did to her. And then later those girls are still mean to Kimberly, but you then understand why those girls are mean to Kimberly. Because it's like, because of that awful thing Kimberly did. And while the girls are still harassing her and pestering her, and it's like they're now being out of line, and it's like, but the problem is it's a vicious cycle. And Kimberly probably started to notice what she was getting herself into, and she felt horrible. She hated herself after she did that. She can't even look at herself in the mirror sometimes. Like, she was angry with herself, and she like lays this on the table to Jason, and Jason understands and talks to her and helps her deal with this. And it was just a nice scene that had no romantic chemistry whatsoever. It was still very much like how he is with Billy, like a big brother, like being the leader, like helping them. And it helped her, and it was nice that they cut the kiss, because if that kiss was added in, it would have ruined that beautiful moment. Of just this perfect moment of friendship. And it was nice. And then once again, it's Power Rangers of all things, that are noticing these stupid Hollywood tropes, because that's another Hollywood trope. The pretty girl and the leader character,
they have to hook up.
Like, that's something Hollywood says. And then this is the director realizing, this really doesn't do anything for these characters.
Yeah.
We should just cut this. And I'm like,
And nothing was lost.
Nothing. It's like the scene improves by cutting it. I'm just like, it's amazing. Power Rangers is learning from Hollywood tropes. Power Rangers.
You'd expect them to indulge in the worst of cliches, but they're looking at these bad cliches and saying, that's dumb, we're not gonna do that.
It's like, just like, if Power Rangers understands this, you should, Hollywood. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and we actually kind of talked about the special effects anyway. What did you guys think of about the music?
The music was pretty good, and I'm going to admit firsthand, I do not like Kanye West. I hate Kanye West, and I hate his music. And in the trailer that no one man should have all that power.
Yeah, it's
that
Kanye
song,
West's Power.
That dumb song, but at the same time, I didn't mind it in the trailer, and I found I didn't mind it again because it was used again in the movie.
Because the scene itself is actually hilarious, because this is when Rita is like full power, she's gathering all of her putties.
And the Rangers are all fighting, and then they come in their Zords, and there's people running and screaming.
And as Rita's walking down the street to get to the Krispy Kreme, it's like, no one man should have all that power. It's like, and it fits.
It fit in a really weird way, and I'm like, I hate Kanye West, but I can't hate it here for some reason. There's something about this movie that is just like, it forbids me to hate anything. I can nitpick at little things here and there, but it forbids me. It's just like, in my soul, if I see something that normally I would hate anywhere else, I'm just like, I'm looking at this movie and I'm like,
it's so campy that it works, because it's doing it in such a tongue-in-cheek way.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I like screamed. Whenever they're all in their Zords and they're running in the exact same formation of the show, it is the remix. It's not like a remix of the old remix of the Go-Go Power Rangers theme song from the original 1995 movie. So that really awesome, like with the like even more hardcore crazy like guitar going on in that version. And I could not believe it when I heard that. I was just like, that's the 1995 Go-Go Power Rangers. I'm just like, oh my gosh. They like, it wasn't the old TV show's theme song, but it was the old movies theme song. And so I'm
of course
just like,
they used the movies remix in the movie.
so it's like they didn't make some new song for this movie. They're just like, no, this song was already perfect. Just bring it back.
Go Go Power Rangers is iconic. It's iconic. I could sing to you that song without even knowing anything about Power Rangers because it's that iconic.
And I was geeking out, and they used it at the perfect moment. Granted, I wish they brought the song again when the Megazord formed, but that's again just a nitpick.
Yeah.
There's just all I have in this movie are little nitpicks, but it's just like it has nice music. I'm probably gonna get the soundtrack because there is an instrumental version of Go Go Power Rangers that was used in the movie. I can't remember what scene it was in, but there is one because I found the instrumental version on YouTube, which is pretty good. It's Go Go Power Rangers, it has to be. But it's got nice music. I think it used music, especially in action scenes, really well. It really, it even used licensed music in it. Like, because there was never a scene that I felt like the music was out of place.
Like, I don't normally like think about music, and I think if you're feeling the emotions and the action of a scene and you're not thinking about the music, it's doing its job. And it did that job in this movie really well. Like, I wasn't thinking, oh, that's a song, except for the Go Go Power Rangers one.
But it's Go Go Power Rangers. When you're like that, everybody in the audience is like, like head banging. They're just like, yeah! Or they're just like, yes!
Like her.
I was just sitting there just like, and there was little kids behind us, 13-year-olds, so they didn't grow up with this show, but obviously they must have watched it on Netflix or something, because there's these two 13-year-olds that mind us, and I could hear them going, Go Go Power Rangers! Like, I'm just like, okay. Like, you got your reaction, movie. Like, the exact reaction we needed. And we actually skipped ahead a little bit. But yes, this movie does use diversity well.
Yeah.
Honestly, more movies, I cannot believe this is a sentence that's coming out of my mouth. More movies, you need to follow Power Rangers' example. This is a sentence that I just said that. If you're gonna do diversity, you do it like Power Rangers. Say, okay, we want an autistic character. We want a girl who is questioning. Like, she's like, there's a scene with Trini, like, she doesn't know.
When she's sort of having a conversation with Zach during the campfire.
And Zach was like, boyfriend problems, girlfriend problems, and the movie doesn't clarify, but the director was implying that because that's all about Trini's character. She is lost. She feels very lost. So even when it comes to her sexual orientation, she feels lost. So Trini's at a point where a lot of even teenagers her age would be. There's people who don't know. Am I gay? Am I bi? Am I straight? And like, some teenagers go through that, and that is a struggle for them. And so Trini, like, she doesn't answer that question, and she just gives Zach this knowing look, and it kind of feels almost awkward, but that's because of, obviously, for Trini, this must be an awkward subject.
Yeah, that's the only part of the movie that awkward.
But I think that was intentional, because that must be an awkward subject for her, and she feels lost already.
And these are two teenagers trying to talk about
and
the
serious...
serious...
And that's the thing, though. They took the fact that Trini is questioning in her sexual orientation, and they tied it to her character.
And that's something that you never really see. It's like, a lot of times they'll just slap, this character's gay, this character's bi, whatever. No. This is part of her character, and this is going to be her character arc of, what is she? Because
she feels lost. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't feel she has an identity. She feels invisible.
She doesn't feel like she has a home. She doesn't feel like she has a family, a friend.
And like, so they took a whole, like, here's a diversity token, but let's actually tie it into her character and have it make sense.
And it works. And it's like, a lot of people are like, oh, this is the first gay Power Ranger. And it's like, no, you're missing the point.
This is a beautifully written character right here. Look at this. Look at Trini. She is a written character that's well. And I'm like, and look at Billy. This isn't like, ooh, look at this. This is our not neurotypical. I'm like, no. This is an autistic kid that is written well.
And the other Power Rangers take into account that he is autistic. They don't like make fun of him for it. He's
not like some token autism character. I'm like, no. This is well written, and he's not a black stereotype. And Jason's not some white kid stereotype. And I think what's her face, Naomi Scott's character Kimberly. She's supposed to actually be like multiracial because she's like, I guess her father's played by an Indian or something like that, and even her actress is multiracial. And I'm like, so she's not some biracial, multiracial stereotype that you'll sometimes see in Hollywood. Like, well, I'm like 1/3 of this race, 1/3 of that race, blah, blah, blah. Like they give these laundry list of like, look, I'm like all these diversities in one character. I'm all your token.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, because Kimberly was like, she's just, here's a teenage girl who has cheerleader problems because of, because she's like, was part of the Mean Girls or something. And so it's like, let's just write a teenage girl. And with Trini, it's like, let's write another teenage girl who goes through her own issues. With Zach, it's like, no, he's not some token Asian. This is a kid who's got a very sick mom, who's a single mother. His dad's not in the picture, and he's
doing everything he can to support her.
To support his mother.
He's skipping school to, try to work and make money. It's like,
to be with her. And I'm just like, no, let's just write teenagers.
And one of the things we talked about the race-bending characters. I think one of the main, I don't know if they actually said this, but it's clear that one of the main reasons that they race bend is because originally you had Zach was black and he was the Black Ranger, then Trini was Asian and she was the Yellow Ranger. So they kept most of the stuff the same. They just made Billy black, then they made Zach Asian, and then they made Trini Hispanic.
Which again, like I said, it's probably a reference because originally Trini was supposed to be played by a Hispanic actress, but whatever reason that actress dropped out, and then eventually Thuy Trang came in, and they just fell in love with her because they said she's just like one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet. And she was really good at martial arts. And really, they weren't hiring on acting ability.
Yeah.
They were hiring on, first off, who's really good at martial arts, and first off, personality. They love the personalities of all these actors behind the scene. And originally, Billy was actually going to play Jason, his actor. But he eventually instead got the role Billy. And actually, Zach, I think, was either going to play... he was also considering, I think, being Billy or something like that.
Yeah.
But Zach actually, Zach's actor, Walter Jones, that's who it is. Walter Jones, I guess, loved the character of Zach when he read the script and decided, I wanted to be Zach. So really, that was Walter Jones. It was just like, no, I like Zach's character. And it's like, well, Zach's the Black Ranger.
Oh yeah, and none of that was done out of racial...
Oh no, it was like 10 episodes in, they suddenly realized that the Black Ranger was black and the Yellow Ranger was Asian, and they were just like, oops.
Yeah, I mean, and they were really working with a lot of Sentai footage, so it's not like they spent a lot of time in this...
Well, yeah, I mean, in the Sentai footage, the Yellow Ranger is a guy.
Yeah, so yeah, it's clear to see why, but you can see that the movie didn't want to deal with that. It didn't want someone...
Unfortunate implications.
Yeah, so they just kind of shuffled the races around, and it doesn't feel forced at all, and it doesn't feel like it's...
Because it's not like you're like, oh, look at me, I'm Asian. Look at me, I'm black. Look at me, I'm autistic. Look at me, I'm like LGBT questioning. Like it's like no, it's just like these are kids.
And that's the great part. It's just part of their characters.
They're just...
What? It's just part of their characters?
They're kids. It's like, the labels don't make them who they are, but they still decide, hey, let's take this one part of it and tie it into their character somehow, or that's just...
Part of them.
It's just part of them.
Billy's just autistic. There's no cure, there's no treating him weird, it's part of him.
It's just who he is, and the kids are just friends, and...
Yeah.
They just develop him, and they develop everybody else.
And it's a beautiful group of friends, and it's like...
Friendship!
Why is Power Rangers the one who gets this right?
You'll notice that's the theme of this topic. Why is Power Rangers getting this right? Hollywood, what are you doing? Power Rangers figured this out. Power Rangers!
Yeah, okay, yeah, so we finished talking about that one. So yeah, the last part of it is, are there things you wish... were in the movie that weren't in the movie?
I already described some of that early to begin with, whenever I described if I had nitpicks.
If there is going to be a sequel or sequels, what do you guys hope to see in the possible future movies?
We actually discussed this in private.
Yeah.
Since they teased Tommy Oliver. I know some people on Tumblr are all like, ooh, there should be girl Tommy Oliver. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Why would her name be Tommy? Tommy's a guy name, but whatever. And I'm like, and besides, we already had a female Green Ranger. Rita was the original Green Ranger. And I'm like, what's the point? The problem is it's not that, oh, I don't have a problem. I'm like, I'm female, first off, and I love Kimberly and Trini, and they're already showing that they can do diversity right in this movie. I'm saying is don't make Tommy a girl just for the sake to appease those people. Because those people don't get it.
Right. Those people only care about there being a checklist of things that they want.
And the problem is whenever I'm reading their post, they treat these characters like checklists. And I'm like, no, you're missing the point. Look at this beautiful movie. Look at these wonderfully written, rightly done characters of how you should write these types of characters. Like, how you should treat these types of characters. And the problem is like, they miss the point. But then we actually had this really fun idea.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, no, keep Tommy, because I'm like, are you kidding me? It's Tommy. Everyone loves Tommy.
Tommy's one of the most popular characters. Like, hell, he is like the one character from the original Mighty Morphin who is stuck around almost the entire time. Like, they bring him in just to make in crossovers and in even like that one season where he was like the mentor.
Yeah, Dino Thunder.
Yeah, Dino Thunder. It's like they bring him in because he's such a popular character.
Like it's Tommy, the original Green Ranger. Like also that cameo.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that.
That cameo at the end. There's a cameo with Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank, and he's wearing a green shirt and she's wearing a pink shirt, and I'm like, nice. Nice.
They're just casually there.
They're just casually there. I loved it.
Yeah.
It made me happy. What was funny was Jason David Frank got kicked out of the premiere because he was pulling his phone out to film
his own cameo.
His own cameo because he's like, it's us. And then they're like pulling him out and he's just like sitting with Amy.
Oh, but I'm Tommy Oliver.
He's like, don't you see my face on the screen? That's me.
Yeah, but
oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but back to the idea.
But yeah, so I'm like, bring in Tommy, and I'm like, and you could do some different things, and like, because we already had the evil Green Ranger. It was Rita herself, and I'm like, but bring in Tommy, bring in a new Ranger. But we're like, what if there's 2 new Rangers? Because I mean, heck, we've had seasons like SPD and Dino Thunder that had the whole concept of the 6th Ranger trope, like, you know, the new teammate, where it's instead 2 new teammates that come in. And I'm like, but I was thinking, oh, but what if like in Ninja Storm, the 2 new 6th Ranger spots were siblings?
Well, and you know, if you want that new female Ranger, give Tommy a sister. And she becomes, like, what did you say, the White Ranger?
The White Ranger, because Tommy was also the White Ranger, if you guys remember. So I'm like, so we could have 2 forms of Tommy from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. One when he was Green Ranger and one when he was White Ranger. But here's the thing. Remember how I said, like, oh, how Zach is like a fusion of Zach and Adam. And then you have Billy over here who's like a fusion of Billy and Ethan. And I was just like, what if you had a character who's like Tommy, but a fusion of another character? And since bringing you back to Ninja Storm, what if her name was Tori? And it was Tommy and Tori Oliver. And like, but instead she's the White Ranger. But then it could be like another reference to Ninja Storm too, not just that her name's Tori, because it's 2 new 6 Rangers. Where just like how there's the 2 brothers, from the Thunder Rangers, and like. Come on, I think it would be cool because then you could have the 2 of them. So we can have our Green Ranger and our White Ranger.
And I mean, they're obviously going to be doing the green with evil plotline because, I mean...
It's a big plot line.
Yeah, obviously that's going to at least be a significant part of the next movie. But also remember that Tommy had a brother.
Yeah, also too, like that's another thing. Like Tommy had a brother. You could gender bend Tommy's brother and make it a sister. And everybody thought Tommy's brother was going to be the Gold Ranger and Zeo. And I'm like, so... just have him have a sister and she could be the White Ranger. And I'm like, and it'd be cool. And then
that pleases everyone. You get a Tommy in here, and then you also have a new female Ranger, and it works. Everyone's happy.
And then you make all these cool references, and you bring in Zed, because everyone's like, Lord Zed needs to be in the next movie.
Oh yeah, he has to be. And I think didn't like Rita make mention of?
Well, she said they will come, and people were like, is she making? Because since there's the Zeo Crest, they're like, is she making references to the Mean Sheen Empire, or is she making reference to Lord Zed? Or is she, heck, making references to the Alliance of Evil? Because as you see in Power Rangers in Space, there's a huge Alliance of Evil, which includes, like...
Rita,
Zed, the Machine Empire, Divatox, and a bunch of other evil people, and Rita's family. I'm like, so, like, she could be talking about the Alliance of Evil. Like, who knows?
But honestly, wouldn't it be, like, I think they would blow people's minds if they bring in Lord Zed, and then you have Tommy come in.
Yes,
and it's
like all in the same movie, and like and Rita's just like, by the way, this is my husband. Like they got.
Yeah, they just drag that in. They don't even have the whole build up. It's like, yeah, they're just married.
They're just married because she's like, I'm the Empress of Evil now. Meet my Emperor of Evil.
Yeah, and Zed just comes in looking like he does in the old show.
Yes, because I mean that design is already creepy enough as it is. Like, so it would work perfectly because of the build up for Zed would be awesome. Zed. Everyone loves Zed. Bring in Zed. Bring in Tommy. Like, just do it. That's what we want. I don't expect much. Just more fun, more action, more camp.
Yeah. And really, as long as they keep it in the same direction, maybe sort of like they'll get more used to the goofiness of it, and sort of like it'll feel more natural going into the sequel. And honestly, it's like I think there's not really a whole lot that they need to do to make a better movie.
No, it's just they've already got the groundworks for it. They just need to keep going at it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to at least one sequel with this, and I'm sure there are plenty of seasons to pull from because they'll probably end up going towards the Machine Empire.
Yeah, I have a feeling they might just go to Zeo and that's it. I mean, if they did in space, they would probably skip Turbo because
Yeah, I think everyone wants them to skip Turbo.
just nobody needs Diva Talks, nobody needs cars, nobody needs a 12-year-old Blue Ranger. This. Yeah, I mean, they could do 4 movies. They could do like there's 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin, so you could make a trilogy of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Right, and then you bring in some of the stuff, like a lot of stuff that people like, and then you kind of do that. I mean, there's plenty that you could make a dozen movies out of this. Whether they'd be good is a different story, but I think if they keep it just a trilogy, do a Power Rangers
But yeah, like I don't need a Power Rangers verse, although like the Marvel universe where there's like 12 billions and it's like a movie for every Ranger season. Like I don't need that. That might go a little overboard. As cool as it might be to see some of the other seasons get movies, I'm like, no. That might overkill it.
Yeah, because then they'll end up making 12 different movies, and they have all these different subplots.
Power Rangers itself already runs itself into the ground by having like 20 plus seasons. We don't need to run movies into the ground.
No. Yeah, so yeah, I think I would like to see a trilogy, and just stop right there, and then you have those movies.
And that's it.
And that's it. That's all you really need to do.
I mean, if they made 4 movies, sure.
Yeah, a quadrilogy can work too, especially if you bring in everything to a close like
In Space did.
Yeah.
I would be fine with that too. I'm like, or it could be like, or if it was like 2 sets of trilogies, since like up to In Space was 6 seasons. Hey, if they think they can make enough material for that, then go for it. But honestly, I think 4 movies might be the best number for it.
Right. 4 movie, a nice limit, and then then you could cover so much, and there's so much material to pull from. There's more than enough for 4 movies.
I mean, there's so many episodes. There's a lot you can pull from it. Granted, as long as there's no baked into a giant pizza episode, then we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we said everything we needed to say.
Yeah.
Power Rangers is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Anyways, cap off there, friend.
All right. So, if you want to submit a topic, just if you're on YouTube, send me, or just post a comment down below. If you're on Tumblr, send me an ask and do topic : and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. If you want to watch last week, just make sure that you follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. And thank you for watching.